up, guys? My name is Lex. We are back here at Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, getting ready to play a 5-10 session. One thing that is difficult in this crazy casino is finding a quiet place to talk. There is always so many things going on, so many people, so much music, cars outside, craziness. So today, I've decided to bring you guys in to this nice little elevator where it's nice and quiet and we can have a little conversation. I've been making poker videos now for a little over a year. This is actually vlog 108. When I first started this vlog, I had no idea that it would explode to where it's at now, and I want to thank you guys again for showing up every single week and watching my videos, but really it's allowed me to kind of play a little bit less poker, focus a little bit more on YouTube because the revenue's coming in every single month and it's definitely helping me out. So I'm trying to balance now playing poker full-time for a living and making 2 videos per week. So my schedule right now is I play poker 4 to 5 times per week and I film twice a week. Now the tough part is that you have no idea when an exciting session is going to be. You don't know when you're going to win a huge amount or when you're going to lose a huge amount. So I just pick random days that I'm going to film. Like I might film Thursday and Saturday or Monday and Wednesday, and hopefully those sessions are exciting. I posted a video about 2 weeks ago losing the biggest pot of my entire life on a Jacksonville Best Bet live stream. It was pretty insane, over $11,000 in the middle that I lost. I then went on like a $10,000 to $11,000 downswing, but since then things have definitely gone up. I think now I'm on like a $13,000 or $14,000 upswing, but unfortunately those days that I played, I didn't film. So I want to kind of recreate those top hands that got me there. I have a couple hands for you guys that I think are going to be exciting, so we're going to go over those first, and then we're going to get into today's 5-10 session. First hand we're going to go over here is from a Wednesday night 10:25 game I played at 7:05 p.m. I bought into this game for $3,000. It's 6-handed right now, and the hijack raises to 3x, $75. I'm next to act with ace 10 of hearts. I decide to put in a 3-bet here to $225. I can take this money down pre-flop, or if he calls, we can go heads up with a pretty good hand. Folds back over to the hijack, who makes the call, so we're heads up in position to our first flop, which is Queen, Jack, 9, 2 hearts. We flop a royal flush draw. My opponent in the hijack has over a $10,000 stack. He's a very solid player. He checks over to me. We should be betting our royal flush draw, right? Well, this time I decide to check. My reasonings behind this is that my opponent can smash this board with 2 pairs, sets, some straights like 8-10, king-10, pocket 9s, pocket jacks, queen 9, jack 9. All these hands we're losing to, but with a royal flush draw, I think we should be betting here just a ton of the time. But for some reason, I decided to check back, also for some deception and some balance as well. If a heart does come in on the turn or the river and I check back the flop, my opponent will think I'm less likely to have a flush draw, given the fact that he would expect me to c-bet that on the flop. We go heads up to the turn, which is an 8, improving us to a straight right away. He checks again. Now with the straight, I'm going to be putting some money in, but I want to bet big, charge him with all of his 2 pairs or sets to see the river. I make it $400. He doesn't think for too long and makes the call. The river is a 4 of hearts. We make the nut flush, and to my surprise, my opponent leads into me for $1,000. This is pretty nice, rivering the nut flush, and my opponent leads out for a $1,000 bet. I look down at my stack. I have about $2,300 left. I am praying he has a hand like king 9 of hearts here. I think for about 30 seconds, Hollywood a little bit, and jam all in. He looks over, gets a count, and folds. So I guess he was bluffing there. Potentially our check back on the flop got my opponent to try to bluff here on the river. After winning another couple small pots, we are now dealt in pocket aces on the button. Folds to me, I make it $75. A super loose, aggressive player in the small blind. He re-raises me to $325. Back over to me. He started the hand with $5,000, and I started the hand with a little over $5,000. Now, sometimes I could just flat call here, try to underrep my hand, but against this opponent who's super aggressive, I am not going to slow play here. I put in the 4-bet with pocket aces to $800. Versus a very loose, aggressive player who is 3-betting out of the small blind. He's going to have a ton of hands like 9-10 suited, king-jack offsuit, ace-5 suited, possibly 8-9 of hearts. Some of those hands that will just fold to my 4-bet, but this time my opponent does not fold, and he does not call either. He re-raises me. He 5-bets me to $1,800. Is this real life? We're sitting here with pocket aces. We raise on the button. Small blind 3-bets. We 4-bet, and he 5-bets us to $1,800, sitting in a 10-25 game, $5,000 deep. I don't think it gets much better than this. Now, of course, I don't think I'm ever going to be 6-bet jamming with anything but aces. So I think my only option here is to call. So that is what I do. So we're going heads up in position to a 5-bet pot with pocket aces. No king, no queen. Give us a safe board. The dealer gives us 4-4-7, 2 diamonds, a perfect flop. 5-bet pots are very rare, so I expect my opponent to have kings and queens here, which is why we were looking to fade a king and a queen on the flop. It is possible he could have the other set of aces as well. He continues for $1,600 on this flop, and with about $2,000 left in his stack, I don't think he's ever folding here, so I decide to rip it all in. Before any scare card comes out, he makes this snap call, so we're all in here, over $10,000 in the middle. We decide to run out the board one time. The turn is a king, one of the worst cards in the deck. Now we're losing a pocket kings if he has it. The river is an 8 of diamonds. The flush gets there as well. I show pocket aces, and he flashes pocket queens and mucks, and we take down over a $10,000 pot and end up profiting over $7,000 in a little over 4 hours in this 10-25 game. The last huge hand I'm going to recap here is from a Monday night 5-10-25 session I played. I'm at one of the craziest tables I've been at in a long time. Everybody has over $5,000 on the table, with a couple players having almost $10,000, which is just insane for a $2,500 capped buy-in game. It is wild action. In this hand, it's around 1:05 a.m. It's a straddle pot. I raise ace-king under the gun +1 to $75. The button, a very loose, aggressive player, 3-bets me to $325. Back over to me with over $5,000 in my stack versus a loose, aggressive player. I put in a 4-bet. I make it $1,100. My opponent on the button makes the call. Just about 2 weeks ago, this particular guy tried to bluff me in a big pot, and it worked. I ended up folding top pair to him, and he showed me a huge bluff. So this guy is definitely capable of getting out of line. He follows me on Instagram and YouTube, so I think sometimes he's just trying to get me so that he can say that he bluffed a vlogger. We're going heads up, out of position with ace-king. The flop is ace-jack-jack, 2 diamonds. A great board for us, flopping top pair, top kicker. I down bet to $500. I want to bet small here to keep him in there with all of his pocket pairs, his gut shots, and his weaker aces, and his flush draws. We just have this board completely covered, so if I bet huge here, like $1,500 or $2,000, it's hard for my opponent to call with worse hands, and on this kind of board, we want our opponent to call with a worse hand, but the button has different plans. He raises me to $1,400, and right away, I just feel like he is bluffing. He seems to be trying to pull the same thing he did 2 weeks ago, where he made a massive bluff on the flop and then showed the table that he was bluffing. Now, with top pair, top kicker, we could just go all in here. But given the fact that I don't have a diamond in my hand, he could have a flush draw. But I feel like it's better just to call and allow him to keep bluffing on the turn. I do end up just making the call, so over $5,000 in the middle. The dealer burns and turns the 7 of diamonds, a pretty bad card. Now the flush gets there. If he was semi-bluffing with a king-high flush draw, he now got there. I check over to him, and he snap bets out $2,500. Oh my god, what a nasty spot to be in. We're losing to all flushes. We're losing to full houses like ace-jack. And we're losing 2 trip jacks like jack 10, king jack, and queen jack. But would he ever play a full house like this? Or even trips like this? Or even a flush this much? I don't think so. We have the range advantage. We 4-bet pre-flop so we can have aces, pocket jacks, and ace jack. If he did have a flush, would he really bet this big? Would he continue this big if he had trips on the turn? I don't think so. I feel like he's bluffing here with total air. If he's got us, he's got us. We only have about $2,900 left, so I decided to just rip it all in here. I go all in for my last $2,900, and my opponent on the button doesn't make this snap call, which I thought was insanely odd. He actually asked the dealer to count out the chips. Now I'm thinking maybe he's just slow rolling me. When the dealer tells him it's only $400 more, he does something I don't think anyone was expecting. He folds his cards. My opponent bet $2,500 on the turn. I shoved for $2,900, only $400 more for him to call, and he just folds. In all the years I've been playing poker, I have never seen anything like this. I guess he was just totally bluffing with a massive air ball, like 4 or 5 of clubs or something like that. So I guess our read was right. We end up taking down a massive pot here, over $10,000 in our stack on this Monday night session, profiting over $3,000. Now you guys are all caught up on my crazy week of poker, down $10,000 at our worst, and now up $13,000 for the week. It is pretty insane. We're back to present day now, playing 5-10 no limit, buying in for $2,500. Let's get started. First hand comes up here with a cutoff, makes it $30. I have king queen of clubs in the small blind, such a strong hand. It's a suited Broadway. Out of position, I decide to re-raise to $125. I want to be 3-betting a lot out of position to try to charge my opponents with weaker hands and also build big pots when we have premiums. My opponent decides to put in a 4-bet to $350. My hand is way too strong to fold, so I make the call. We're heads up, out of position in a 4-bet pot. The board is king, queen, jack. We flop top 2 pair. In a 4-bet pot, flopping top 2 pair is obviously great, but we could be losing here. It's possible he has a hand like pocket jacks or kings or queens. He decides to check back, so we're feeling pretty good, and even better when the turn is a king, giving us a full house. Given the fact that he didn't bet the flop, I think he could have aces, possibly pocket tens, or just a bluff pre-flop like ace-5 suited. Given the fact that we have the board so locked up here with a full house, I think the best line is to check, allow him to bet hands like ace-queen or pocket aces, or potentially start a bluff with all of his bluffing hands. Given the fact that I checked twice, I shouldn't be too strong, but he thinks otherwise. He checks back the turn. The river's a brick. Looks like we're going to have to start putting some money in this pot. I bet small. He folds. We take down the first pot. This next hand is one of the worst hands of the entire night. We raise pocket aces and everybody folds. We take down the blinds and yeah, that sucks. On the other hand, it's better to win a small pot than lose a big pot with pocket aces. Somebody famous said that, but I don't know who. So moving on to the next hand, the hijack makes it $35. I have 6-7 suited in the cutoff. I decide to 3-bet here, looking to go heads up in position. I make it $100. Folds back to the hijack. He makes the call. We flop a flush draw on an ace-high board. He checks. This is one of those boards where I feel like I can just triple barrel off, trying to represent hands like aces, ace-king, and ace-queen. All hands my opponent most likely can't have. I start out with a $75 bet. My opponent has about $2,800 in his stack, so we're planning on either getting there with a flush and value betting or bluffing our ass off and try to get him to fold a pocket pair or a weaker ace. He ends up matching our $75 bet, and we see a perfect turn card. It's the 8 of hearts. Not only do we improve to a flush, but now we're open-ended. Any 5 of hearts or a 10 of hearts will give us a straight flush. Now we can go from semi-bluffing on the flop to value betting on the turn. I bet pretty big according to the size of the pot. I make it $250. I bet bigger here because if he does have a hand like ace-jack or ace-10 with the 10 of hearts or the jack of hearts, he's just never folding, and I want to try to charge him the max with those hands. The action's back on him. He's facing a $250 bet in a 3-bet pot, and he decides to raise.
By the time they get there, it's
600.
600.
I was really not expecting my opponent to check raise, especially for this sizing. He's basically saying he has a super strong hand like the king high or queen high flush, or he has a bluff, and I have seen this opponent bluff before, so it's very likely he could have a hand with the king of hearts or the queen of hearts, and now he's turning into a semi-bluff. I feel like there is merit to just jamming all in here. It's a 3-bet pot. We have a flush. We don't really want to see any other hearts here, but it is possible he could have us beat with a better flush. I'm just never folding in this spot, but I want to call, allow him to potentially bluff the river, which is what I do, and we go to the last card, which is the king of clubs. Doesn't change anything at all. My opponent has $1,900 left in his stack, and the action's over on him.
We made it look like we were full.
Yeah, you're waiting for me.
My opponent thinks for a couple seconds and jams all in $1,900. Are we ever good here? It's a 3-bet pot. He check raised us on the turn and now jams for a huge amount. We have a 7 high flush, but we're losing to basically every other flush that he has here. This is a really weird spot to be in. I want you guys to pause the video, go down in the comments below, and let me know what you would do here with a 7-eye flush, given this action. Now that you left your comment down below, let's see what happened in real time.
We made it look like we were full.
Yeah, you were waiting for me.
Sorry, bro.
I fucking knew. I was like, he's gonna have the horns. What a hand. What a hand.
In my mind, I already made up that I'm just going to call any bet on the river. Our hand is just way too strong in a 3-bet pot. So I make the snap call. He shows 5-3 of hearts for a flush. So a huge cooler for him. Flush under flush. We end up winning over a $5,000 pot here. The week of Run Good continues here, up over $2,000 within the first 2 hours of our session. Playing poker for a living is very tough mentally. The swings are insane. Last week I was down $10,000, and now this week we're up over $14,000. It is nice to finally be on the right side of the cooler. Back to the action with pocket jacks. Under the gun makes it 30. I re-raise to $100. He makes the call, heads up to a 10-high board. He checks over to me. I feel like if he does have anything on this board, like a 10, a pocket pair, or a flush draw, he's not going to be folding, so I want to bet big and try to charge those hands. I make it $200. Turns out he doesn't have anything at all. He lets his hand go. And this next hand we're playing with a straddle, $25 under the gun. Folds to me with 10-8 of diamonds. Definitely a hand I want to be raising here on the button. In position, I make it $75. Big blind makes the call. Under the gun, straddler makes the call as well. 3 ways to deuce, 3, 5, 2 diamonds. We flop the 10-high flush draw. Checks to me. I think it's close between betting here and checking. And I think a bet is fine. I make it $125. Big blind very quickly calls $125, and now under the gun decides to raise to $500. It's a pretty interesting spot. Under the gun has about $1,700 left, and big blind has about $1,500 left. So what should we really do here? A lot of the time when under the gun raises here, he's going to have 2 pairs, sets, straights, and big semi bluffs like ace x of diamonds and king x of diamonds. So if we're up against that range, we're actually not doing too well. If he has a set, 2 pair, or straight, we're only drawing to a flush. If he has a semi bluff like the ace x of diamonds or king x of diamonds, we're basically drawing dead. I also have to worry about the big blind player having a bigger flush draw than me as well. I think all the options are on the table. We can either call, fold, or go all in. And given the fact that under the gun should have a pretty strong range here, raising into 2 players with only $1,700 left, we could be drawing dead against better flush draws. I make a pretty tight fold, and this ends up being our last hand. We end up racking up our chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Wait. Go! Rogie, sit.
Wait.
Rogie, sit. Sit, Rogie. Rogie, sit. Rogie, sit. Sit. He sit. He's so bad.
Oh, yeah, sit. Hey.
All right, guys, that is it for this one. Out here walking Rogue. Where is he at? There he is. Rogue and Aria got to play. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Did a little bit of a session recap from a crazy 5-10-25 session and a 10-25 game. Winning a massive pot there with aces. My opponent just folding after betting $2,500 on the turn. I've just never seen that before. And then today, winning a huge pot there with 6-7 of hearts. Ended up profiting $1,700 in this session. The upswing continues up almost $15,000 in about 10 days. So let's keep it rolling. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'll see you.